How is it going, everyone? It's Lumity here, and today we're going to be talking about a Marvel movie. Today we're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This finally came out on Disney Plus, so I decided to watch it. I actually wanted to see it in theaters, but I just really never got the chance. I had too much going on, and I just had to settle for watching it on Disney Plus. But I still enjoyed watching this. I still enjoyed the experience, and I had a fun time watching this movie. I know a lot of people are dealing with superhero fatigue right now. I've been dealing with that for a couple of years now, but I'm starting to finally have it break a little bit, and this movie helped a lot with that. Going into this movie, I was still a little bit skeptical. I had watched Howard the Duck before this, and that kind of made me feel a little bit better about superheroes, and then I watched this, and this really did help the superhero fatigue a lot, because this is just an amazing movie. It's fun, but it also is very dark at the same time. It still has its funny nature to it. It still has some comedy in it, but it also covers some dark topics, dark subjects, dark storylines, and it does it so well. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 focuses a lot on Rocket Raccoon and his past, and of course, you know how he looks. You know he's all, scarred up, and he's had a lot of different tests and experiments done onto him to make him who he is now, and we basically get to see the start of him as a baby raccoon turning into the Rocket Raccoon that we know and that we love. But you see just the excruciating details of everything he had to go to become who he is now. You have to see basically the friends he made and the friends that he lost along the way, other animals that were being tested on just like he was, and it's rough when they go to those scenes. You really feel bad for all those characters, and let me tell you, I definitely cried a couple times in this movie because those scenes hit hard, especially because I love animals. Seeing any sort of animals in pain and seeing any animals with sadness and everything, that hurts me. That hurts me to see, so that they did it very well, I will say. And I'm glad that it was CGI, so it wasn't, like over the top or anything like that, but it definitely will still hit you in the feelings. Like, that will hit you right in the feels. It packs a punch, and it's told very well. The story is told very well when it comes to Rocket Raccoon, and I really enjoyed it, even though it was super depressing. I didn't enjoy it. That was depressing, I guess, but I enjoyed the storytelling aspect of it. I enjoyed how well they told the story, and I thought that they did a fantastic job telling a story, giving us a backstory of that character, and just really giving us a lot more details on him. And you do get to see, of course, the other characters still rise to the occasion and still have some amazing fight scenes as well. Star-Lord, of course, is back in this. Chris Pratt. You got Batista, who is playing Drax the Destroyer, and they do a phenomenal job. Everyone does a phenomenal job in this movie. Vin Diesel, Groot. You got Nebula back in this. You got the weird multi-dimension, or was it the I guess, it's the multiverse version of Gamora from Infinity War. I'm still a bit mixed on that, but luckily they didn't really talk about the multiverse too much. There's just a little bit of talk every now and then about it, but it's not really... It's more about just talking about how Gamora is different than the Gamora that Peter Quill lost. So I was okay with that. It didn't seem over-the-top multiverse stuff. It didn't seem anything too ridiculous. It was fine for what it is. And they handled the multiverse stuff very well. They handled it very delicately, so you wouldn't get, absolutely driven nuts by it. They did a good job just carefully handling that subject. And you do have Mantis back in this as well. And Mantis, of course, is very just adorable, but also mischievous. If I had a complaint about this movie, it would be that some of the characters don't act like how they did in the other movies, I don't feel like. Drax comes off a little bit kind of more dumb, brutish, and I didn't really get that vibe from him in the other movies. He didn't seem dumb. He seemed like he had some wisdom, and I feel like that wisdom is kind of gone in this one, and it's almost more of he is kind of like a dumb brute, but also he does still have his soft spot of being a father and everything, which makes sense, because obviously with his backstory and everything, but still, I just feel like they could have kept him a little bit wiser than what they were making him out to be in this movie. I also feel like they didn't do a great job connecting Groot and Rocket Raccoon a whole lot in this, because they're supposed to be best friends, and throughout the other two movies they did a really good job showing that, And in this one, they just kind of ignored it until towards the end of the movie. And I was just like, why did it take this long to really get a good interaction between them? So that was also something that I wasn't too crazy about. I think they could have done better. And another plot point that they started to do and they dropped, they started to have Chris Pratt's character, Star-Lord, Peter Quill, they started to have him kind of be attracted to Nebula. And I actually liked that direction. I thought that was going to be really interesting. I thought that was going to be really cool to see Star-Lord and Nebula kind of get together. I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. The Gamora that he knew is gone, and he sees Nebula now, and he sees Nebula for who she is. Nebula probably has never had love before, any true love or anything like that, because of how Thanos treated her. So she's probably never had a relationship. I felt like they could have had a good thing there with Star-Lord and Nebula, and they start to kind of hint at it, and then by the end, they just drop it completely, and it's forgotten. And that's something else that was, to me, a big miss. They should have gone more with that, because I think that would have been a great relationship to go in this movie, and to kind of tie a knot off for the whole Peter needing a relationship type thing. I think it would have sealed the deal and been perfect, but they didn't do that. All the characters at the end, this is a spoiler, so spoiler warning right here. If you want to watch it, go watch on Disney+, then come back and watch this ending if you'd like. But at the end of the movie, all of the Guardians of the Galaxy, just all the members kind of just go their separate ways. The only ones who stay Guardians of the Galaxy is actually Groot and Rocket Raccoon. Rocket becomes the leader of them, which I thought was pretty cool. And the after credits scene shows that he's basically built a new Guardians of the Galaxy team with Adam Warlock. I think her name is Fyra, I want to say. And the other character who's part of the team is Kraglin, who is the guy who got Yondu's head thing that he can control that arrow with. He's part of the team, and so is Cosmo the dog. And I love Cosmo the dog in this. Fantastic little superhero, super pup. I love that dog. If they gave Cosmo her own movie, I would go and watch it. And I like the little chemistry that they had going on between Kraglin and Cosmo. I thought it was cute because he called her a bad dog at the beginning of the movie, and she can't let it go throughout the entire movie until the very end when he finally calls her a good dog. And I thought that was cute. I thought it was sweet. I felt bad for Cosmo, but then when Cosmo finally got called a good dog, I was so happy for her. But yeah, this is a fantastic movie. This is a must-watch in my opinion. It's something that you need to go see. It is really fun. It's so good. It's definitely, I think, the cure for a lot of people's superhero fatigue. I think this is going to help a lot of people out when it comes to that. And it's just a really enjoyable movie. Yes, there's dark spots in it. There's going to be moments where you feel sad, depressed, because it does have a very dark backstory. But I think that backstory is important. I think it needs to be told, and they did a fantastic job telling it. But even though it has those dark moments in it, it does have comedy around those moments. In between all of the comedy, those dark scenes exist, but they do have comedy to kind of comfort it and be around it, so it doesn't come off, just as a super depressing dark movie. It still feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie at the end of the day. It still feels like a Marvel movie at the end of the day. They did a great job kind of cushioning all this darkness with some humor and classic Guardians of the Galaxy action. And like I said, you get some great action in this. Some of the best action that actually has been in the series so far. And let's talk about that Rotten Tomatoes score. So, the critics gave this one an 81% out of 100%, so we can call that an 8 out of 10. And the audience gave it a 94% out of 100%, so we can call that a 9 out of 10. So basically, the critics gave it an 8 out of 10, audience gave it a 9 out of 10. What do I give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Well, even though I don't think that they took the characters and necessarily, they don't feel exactly the same as how they did in the other ones, I still don't hate this movie. In fact, I think that this is the best Guardians of the Galaxy movie to date. It is very fun. It is very well told. All the story points and everything are just so well done. The story with Rocket Raccoon is so touching, and it's heartbreaking. It's so well told. That literally all of the Rocket Raccoon's story, with him having to face this evil villain that has been doing these tests on him for all these years, and just seeing him finally kind of come to terms with who he is, that just was so well done. I have to give this a 10 out of 10. I think that this is the best Guardians of the Galaxy movie yet. I do think that this movie is that good. So I mean, the critic score and the audience score is pretty close on this one. I'm still closer to the audience score since they gave it basically a 9 out of 10, but I give it a 10 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. I loved it, and it looks like we're going to still see more Star-Lord in the future. And I hope that they're able to get Chris Pratt back to do Star-Lord, because at this point, I kind of see him as Star-Lord, man. Like, it's the same thing with how I look at, like, Iron Man. It's just like, how can you replace, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man now? How can you replace Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? To me, you just, at this point, that character, Star-Lord, is Chris Pratt. So, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I hope that they do bring him back, because to me, that is who Star-Lord is at this moment. But yeah, definitely go watch it on Disney Plus. You can watch it now. It's streaming on there, and it's definitely worth your time. It's 2.5 hours long, but it does not feel like it. Let me tell you, it goes by pretty quick because of all the great storytelling, all the great action, and all the great pacing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next video. You have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.